On air, we are going to be recapping the Final Four of the men's tournament, which was definitely something else. We're going to be going through the women's championship game, which was almost more electric than the Final Four. And then finally, we will be previewing the men's championship that goes on tonight, as well as we've got that segment that we've got going on, which I'm a big fan of, but you got to stick around to the end to see that one. All right, let's run it. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Marv on Air. Today is Monday, April 3rd, 2023. And boy, do we have a lot of basketball to be covering today. It's going to be a good one. I'm excited. You're excited. You're excited. You're excited. And you're excited for more basketball than we've ever covered in a single show of Marv on Air. Today, it's going to be me and Redbone at the main table. Redbone, how are we doing?
Just peachy.
Awesome. And then it's back to the solo man on the couch. James, how are we feeling over there?
I'm feeling pretty good.
Got all the legs sprawled out. I like it a lot. Alex is back there running the cameras. Decided not to turn the lights on before we went live, but that's fine. We don't need him. He's glowing, as per usual.
I'll get it done.
He'll get there.
Yes, sir. My bad.
That's all good. So we're going to go ahead and start with the Final Four recap of the men's tournament. It was rather exciting to start, and then the UConn game was something else in a different way. The SDSU-FAU game lived up to the hype of the 5 versus 9 seed, came down to a final shot to decide it all. Can you imagine being that player, right? It's you're down one, you got a couple seconds, you shoot it, and you make it, you move on, you miss it, you go home. That's what every kid dreams of in their driveway. What were you thinking of What were you thinking about going through that game there, Redbone?
I mean, that one was kind of just crazy because it felt like I want to say FAU was up like 14 at one point.
They were up quite a bit.
I believe the number was 14.
The fourth quarter was just for FAU.
I mean, I believe they were up 14 at one point. SDSU, they kind of just like hung around for most of the game, and then there at the end, FAU missed a couple of big shots, and San Diego State was able to capitalize, and it just came down to that buzzer beater, and the kid hit it.
He did.
Just like you draw it up in your dreams.
That's right. I thought the biggest thing really was watching FAU lack of rebounding in that last quarter. It seemed like the ball was on SDSU's offensive side of the court for 90% of that quarter?
At least.
It was hard to watch as an FAU. Obviously, if you watched our Final Four preview or if you watched our Wednesday episode from last week, Red and I were rooting for the Owls quite hard, and it didn't pull through. It was hard to watch, for me at least. And
it felt tough just because, like, with FAU, it felt like everything, for the most part, was going their way. Everything felt good. And then that, like, second half, it's just, like, they couldn't get the ball. Like, SDSU, there was one possession. I think they had, like, 3 offensive rebounds.
Yeah.
In one possession.
In one possession.
FAU could not get the ball. And when they did, it was always like a sloppy possession. Like, all of a sudden we have the ball.
They threw it like down the length of the court away.
What do we do now that we have the ball? We're not used to having the ball.
Yeah.
And they just kind of seemed to panic a little bit.
It seemed like the lights were too bright for them in that fourth quarter. I'm not going to lie.
Well, there's no fourth quarter, but I get what you're saying. The last, 10 minutes of the second half.
Well, that's really when it kind of went downhill.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying. I look at it as quarters, the 10-minute intervals.
I agree.
But I don't know if any of you watching agree with me here, but when we were watching, it was going real well until one of our friends came downstairs.
Correct.
And that was when FAU just decided to stop playing basketball.
Yeah.
Is there any superstition?
He brought really bad vibes,
It did.
He came downstairs and was like, I don't know who I'm rooting for here.
I kind of want SDSU to win.
They kind of have
jerseys.
A cool logo.
Yeah.
And I knew right away. That was the moment when it was like, yep, FAU lost. And there's still 12 minutes left in the game.
Yeah,
but
James, is
that
that
was
how
the
you,
end of it.
Is that how you approach games? It's like, are you superstitious when you watch them, or are you just like, it doesn't matter what we do here at home?
I don't understand the question.
So let me give you an example. When I was watching the Patriots versus Falcons game, I sat down. That was the Super Bowl 51, right?
Yeah.
The 28-3 comeback. I sat down with a nice drink, and we scored a touchdown. The Patriots scored a touchdown. And I immediately said, I am not leaving this seat until the game's over. Because I sat down right here and we scored. And I never got up. I made people refill my drink for me. And guess what? Patriots won. And I accumulate that to me not leaving my seat.
True.
Is there any superstition that goes into when you're watching games, or are you just kind of one of those guys where it's like, it doesn't really matter what I do?
Absolutely not. I don't think it matters in the slightest.
I'm the exact
feel like-
opposite.
yeah, I'm a
like
huge superstitious
butterfly
guy.
effect guy.
Yeah,
Huge
100%.
butterfly effect.
Do you have a moment like that where you remember specifically
The-
it working out in your favor?
FAU SDSU one is fresh in memory for
Very
sure.
fresh. Yes, that
in
was
my
hard.
memory, not really
But
going.
Isn't that just hindsight bias?
No, it was during the game. I was like, I'm not getting up, and I know.
I know, but that's hindsight bias. How many times do you think you could do that for like just different games, and then you actually hit?
I mean,
we're
it's probably
fans. It's what we got to do.
Yeah, it's a part
it makes
of the
us feel
game.
good about ourselves.
Yeah, it's-
like
it
we're
makes you
contributing
feel-
I know,
something.
but what that phenomenon is hindsight bias.
I mean, it makes the game more exciting when you're watching it. It's like
Yeah.
if I get up and get a Coke and we score, I'm gonna go up and get 50 Cokes if that's
Correct.
what it takes.
Yeah.
Like I don't care what
Exactly.
happens, I will do everything
you get
in my
burned on a
power.
cross or like have stones tied to you back in fucking Salem.
Exactly. I will do
Yeah,
whatever
bro.
it takes. I don't know. That's just
Oops.
me personally, but that's kind of how we approached the FAU game. And then after that, it didn't really feel like the UConn game necessarily mattered, but we still watched, and UConn came to play
They did.
They-
They've been coming to play all tournament.
all tournament. This has been one of the rare occurrences where they have won every single game by at least 10 points, and I
Yep.
feel like it's probably closer to 11 or 12 that they've won every game by.
At least, yeah. I mean, I think the only time that UConn's ever been like relatively like nervous, where you're like, "Ooh, UConn, they're looking in trouble," was
Yep.
the Iona game.
Yeah.
Because I believe Iona was up 1 at half, but
Yeah.
they were also shooting like 70% from 3 in the first half.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like artificial a little bit.
Mhm.
But that was like the only time that it's been like UConn's not in complete control of this game.
Yeah.
And then they did in the second half. They came out and controlled the game. But that first half versus Iona was really the only time where it was like, if you were a UConn fan, you were a little nervous.
Yeah. UConn has been running through this tournament, and obviously they'll be playing tonight. We'll get into that preview in just a second. But speaking of that 70% from 3,
Yep.
I feel like we should just jump right into the women's with that.
Yeah, I mean, that women's game last night was something. I feel like, I mean, me personally, can say with some confidence that last night was the first women's game national championship that I've like tuned into intentionally.
And really cared.
Correct.
Yes. And you might say, oh, it's just because we're from Iowa, Iowa State,
Yeah.
Iowa, blah, blah, blah. But I think
Iowa.
Caitlyn Clark made women's basketball relevant, and everyone wanted to see what was going to happen in that game. And then aside from refs being a little questionable, I think the lights might have been a little too bright for those refs like FAU. It was a pretty fun game to watch. It felt like Iowa, as they were down 10 or whatever, but they never really. It felt like they were never out of it until the last
No.
5 minutes, wouldn't you say?
Even in the last 5, I would say the last like 2.
Yeah.
Because to me, it was like the way that like the media and everything's like built up Caitlyn Clark. It felt like she was never out of the game.
Mhm.
It wasn't until the technical foul, really.
Really, that's
that
what
it
it
felt
was.
like all of a sudden, like, okay, now Caitlyn Clark, everyone knows Caitlyn Clark for the most part.
Yep.
I don't remember her first name, but Cesano, that center that Iowa
Yes.
has, who's very dominant.
Yeah, she's good.
She picked up her 4th foul, and then
And
Warnock, whoever that is. Like, Iowa's top 3 players all had 4 fouls, I think, with like 4 minutes left.
Well, it
And
came down
that's-
to that Cesano play gave
Yeah.
Cesano and Clark their 4th.
Correct.
So that's like
that
big
was
deal.
when it felt like, okay, now it
Might be out of reach.
Now it's out of reach. Now
'Cause-
it's over.
Speaking of the 70% from 3 that Iona potentially shot, that's not
Yeah.
a statistically correct number, but it felt like it. LSU shot 64% from 3. So Iowa needed to be playing extremely well on defense to be able to shut down LSU at all. And when your 3 stars are riding with 4 fouls, that doesn't give you a lot of defensive room, right? You can't be pressing extremely hard. If you watch the last couple minutes of that game, Caitlyn Clark's letting women run right by her because she
Yeah.
can't afford to pick up her 5th when she's like, she's definitely the strongest 3-point shooter on that team, I would
Yeah,
say.
yeah.
And that's really all they had for a chance to get back into that game. Overall, I thought the game was fun to watch. The
Yep.
refs, 2 fouls right away for Reese and Clark. No one wanted to see that.
No.
Everyone wanted, no one wants the coaches to be like, well, are we going to play our star player, with 40 minutes left in this game?
And that's what really stung about this game, too, is it's like, this was like the first time it really felt like the national championship for the women's side had a huge spotlight on it.
Yes.
And like people were really paying attention to this. And then it just turned into, okay, like Angel Reese, so LSU's best player, the one who did the taunting thing.
I got asked if I was watching the game.
Correct.
From somebody that doesn't know me very well.
Yeah.
It seemed like everyone was tuning into it.
Correct.
We had a watch
Whether
party.
They thought I like watched sports or didn't. They asked me, "Are you watching the game?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "What game are you talking about, dude?" And he goes, "Oh, the Iowa game." I go, "No."
So James was in the minority then of people who maybe didn't exactly tune in. But a
Yes.
lot of people at least heard about it or knew about it to some extent.
You know how I heard about it? No Jumper on Instagram, and they what? It's in front of my
Put it
face.
closer.
It's
Hold-
in,
yeah,
It's the top
You got
of
it.
it.
It's the top. You're speaking to the top.
oh,
Yeah.
my bad.
Oh, there you
Oh,
go.
I can hear it way better.
Yeah, you can.
On No Jumper,
clip.
they posted some video from Lil Boozy. Do you guys know who Lil Boozy is?
No.
I don't.
Oh my God, I love.
That's what I thought.
Lil Boozy is this rapper that lives down in Louisiana, and he had it looked like this insane party for women's basketball winning, and they
Really?
were just turning it up the whole time. I don't know, but that's how I heard about it.
But yeah, this was like, I feel like the first women's game that there was like really a big spotlight on it. And it stinks that both LSU's best players and Iowa's best players, due to the officiating of the game, which was definitely questionable,
At
were
best.
out for a lot more minutes than they should have been.
Yes.
I mean, this game had 10 more fouls, I believe,
Yeah.
than the women's national championship average. And it's just like, this was women's basketball's like really big chance, it felt like, that a lot of eyeballs were going to be on them, that they could like knock it out of the park.
Right.
And a lot of the star power for both LSU and Iowa was sitting on the bench for crucial minutes. And
Yes.
that just kind of stunk.
Can the argument be made that women's basketball, like college basketball, is in my mind a lot bigger than the WNBA because people have
Yeah.
allegiances
Oh, yeah.
to colleges?
Yes, I
yeah.
would say that as well.
Well, like that's what they're talking about with Caitlyn
Which
Clark.
kind of sucks because those girls are not going to be making any money.
Well,
college,
Clark
with,
is making money.
With Caitlyn Clark,
I bet she's
Yeah,
making
image.
money, but they're not making nearly as much as like some
Yeah.
male.
NIL is
Yeah.
big though.
yeah,
in
like they were
women's
saying
basketball.
Caitlyn Clark is going
NIL?
Yes.
to name image.
What's
likeness.
that?
That's where athletes get paid in college.
Okay.
They're saying that Caitlyn Clark will probably take her COVID year and stay in college just because she'll make more playing college basketball with NIL money
Yeah.
than she will going to the WNBA.
And
Which, I mean, good for her.
well, Clark's gonna be back for another year regardless. She's not
Regardless,
eligible
yeah.
for the draft after this year, so it's exciting that we get to see her for another year. Obviously, I think she's back in the gym today. Right?
Likely.
She's back in there 4:30 a.m. just banging out these double-handed dribbles and all doing everything she can. She's got that "you can't see me" right fresh in her mind, and we can jump with that right into the taunting
Sponsors.
We're not jumping into the sponsors. We're jumping into the taunting. I see where you're coming from, though. I did forget that.
Smart man, company man.
Very smart, man. You know what?
Almost had it. You know
I got a
what?
business
Let's get
oriented
I
mindset.
thought no. See, I actually thought you were talking about NIL for a second. But with that being said, if you're enjoying the show, be sure to tell a friend about it because
I gotta go to the bathroom.
this is this is big time. All right. If you're enjoying the show, tell a friend about it. We'd really appreciate it. Leave a 5-star review on all the podcast platforms, all that, blah, blah, blah. But let's jump into the taunting
Yep.
and the trash talk, essentially, that went on.
Yep.
And
Where do you want to start here?
I think the best way to look at this is it's amazing for women's basketball.
Agreed.
I think a lot of Caitlyn Clark brought the attention to women's basketball, and then Angel Reese pushed it into everyone cares now.
Correct. It's like before, like everyone was like Caitlyn Clark's. It's like it's a great storyline, right? It's cool. She's very good, obviously, and like so people were tuning in for that
To watch
reason.
her play. Yeah.
But then Angel Reese, lover or hater, she created an entire conversation around this game and around women's basketball that arguably without her doing that wouldn't have happened to the extent that it is.
100%.
And like she's created an entire like villain arc for herself, which say
well,
what
she
you-
embraced the role. That's
yeah,
for sure.
say what you want about that whole thing. But now a lot more eyes are going to be on women's basketball. And I know personally, at least myself, next year when women's basketball rolls around, maybe I'm not going to be tuning in as much as I do to the men's games, but I'll at least probably be like, I wonder where LSU is right now in the season, and I wonder where Iowa is in the season.
Exactly.
Because if we can see a rematch of these two teams in the tournament next year, that'd be good
huge.
TV.
It's
That'd
gonna
be good
huge.
television.
Yes, it will definitely be very big, and I think it's completely warranted what Angel Reese did to, just in general. But it was generally directed at Caitlyn Clark. I think we can all agree that she kind of followed her around after the game, but I mean that's sports, right?
Yeah.
If you're up, you win the national championship, especially in a college, thing. That's hard to get to the college level, let alone to get to the championship, and then to win it. Like, do your thing.
Exactly, and it's like people were upset, and I get the whole thing where, well, so like little bit of backstory, right? Caitlyn Clark initially did the John Cena "You Can't See Me" in the Elite Eight game versus Louisville.
Right.
So she did it first.
That's kind of where it came
and then, correct. And then Angel Reese, LSU's best player, came around and was then doing it to Caitlyn Clark. Where people had an issue with it was Caitlyn Clark did it kind of in like the heat of the moment.
Yes.
Kind of like just like after a big play type thing.
Mm-hmm.
Where Angel Reese, like intentionally, her team was kind of celebrating off to the side, and she walked towards Caitlyn Clark, kind of followed her around the court as like the celebration was going on, and continued to kind of taunt her, show the ring me type thing, the "You Can't See Me" John Cena, whatever. And so that's where people were all of a sudden like, okay, this is outside of the scope of the game. This is like extracurricular stuff going on here where she's taunting Caitlyn Clark, once the game's over, essentially.
So, like, let's say you mic up the players during the game. You're gonna hear trash talk, right?
Right.
Yeah.
The only difference is that this girl literally just did the trash talk with her hands, and everybody knew that Caitlyn Clark trash talked, 3
Louisville.
games prior.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it.
I
She-
think
she
the
literally
biggest-
just trash talked with what somebody else did.
Correct.
I think the biggest thing with it.
granted, it was kind of her thing or whatever, but
Yeah.
I mean that shouldn't matter.
I think the biggest
this is
thing
just
with it-
blown out of proportion for drama and media.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is exactly what you just said. Essentially, people were surprised that Angel Reese wasn't celebrating with her teammates or with her coach. Obviously, her coach was crying. It's her 4th national championship she's won. It was a huge emotional moment for everyone on the LSU team. First time appearing in the national championship game, let alone to win it. And she chose to essentially direct all of her celebration at Caitlyn Clark versus with her team. I can see where people are going to have an issue with that. But some athletes, that's just how they function. They drive themselves based on like trash talk, and that's kind of how they motivate themselves or whatever. I think that's part of it, right? You're not gonna, not everyone, you look at what Caitlyn Clark said. She basically ignored Reese the whole rest of that, the last couple minutes, and then after the game, and her presser afterwards, and her tweets afterwards, very classy. You know, some athletes are that way, and some athletes take on the villain role, which is exactly how you kind of depicted Reese.
Yeah, and I
Doing
mean
that
it's
is so fun.
What's that?
What?
Doing that is so fun. Like playing to make people mad.
Yeah, no, that's
Like, as a
exactly how
kicker-
Alex functions, 100%.
As a kicker, I can say whatever I want and suffer nothing. Because on a kickoff, if I'm talking mad trash to the whole first line, and then as the ball's like caught to the second line and then the third,
Yep.
like I'm off the field until we score.
Yeah.
Like you're not
You're
gonna see
clear.
me again.
Yeah,
like I can get away with
exactly.
whatever, but you can get them really mad.
No, it's exactly
Like
how a lot of people
getting
function.
in people's heads is so much
Oh, it's
fun.
great.
Alex and I just started playing tennis. We played it yesterday.
tennis. Okay.
Yeah.
But like my junior and senior year, I was never great at tennis. But what you can do is just like yell out really loud if they hit the ball out, and you just keep on doing that. You dig in, you go, out. Well, I can't actually. I don't want to actually. I
can turn your volume down.
And you throw your finger up in the air because that's what like out means, and you just do that every single time. Or if somebody hits the net, you just go net.
Yeah, well, half of
Out.
sports is mental game for sure. It's definitely, would you say half? Half mental, half
I'd
physical?
argue more.
More
Well, I
mental?
guess it also depends on the sport. I mean, football is
I'd
Like
say
golf
a
is
lot.
way
like
less
90%.
for the most part. Yeah,
I would
I mean,
say.
like baseball is like famously they always say that like 95% of baseball is played from the neck up.
Yeah.
and that's just because it's a big mental game. It's a slower paced game, and you don't have to be quite as athletic as you do in like football.
Right, you see
they
some
say
big
it's a
guys out
big
there.
mental game.
Yeah, you do. You definitely do.
But no, I think like overall this LSU Iowa game, it's as much as the officiating stunk,
Yes.
It is a net positive at the end of the day for women's basketball because now this is a conversation that we are having.
Isn't that why they say Kawhi Leonard is so good? Because he's a robot.
He's
on the
literally
court.
a robot.
He doesn't play with emotion. You can't get in his head.
Yeah.
Some
Right?
might. I mean, he's physically gifted as well,
Yeah,
obviously.
yeah.
Everybody knows if you're in the NBA, you're
Yeah.
physically gifted. But he is known for that. He is very much no emotion,
Board man gets
unable,
paid.
unable to
I wish
laugh.
I could play like that. Huh.
I would
Get back
be
to what you were
grinding
saying,
him.
Alex.
I would be all over him until he broke.
Until he cries.
Yeah.
If there's one person who could break Kawhi
Yeah,
Leonard,
but he
it's
just might
obviously
not
Mini
have
Marv.
that element to him that can do that. Does that make sense?
I'll
It's
figure it out.
it's the cornrows, I think.
I don't-
Yeah. I don't know. Dude
Full
doesn't do
hair.
social media. He doesn't do anything like that. It's just
He was born in
he
the
just
40s.
plays basketball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all
it's
he
kind
knows.
of odd, but I don't know. Me personally, I'm in favor of Angel Reese talking smack. Maybe not the following her around thing.
Well,
but
and-
like in sports, right? Like Caitlyn Clark's kind of the golden child of women's college basketball right now. Arguably just college basketball as a whole right now.
Especially with who's left on the men's side.
Correct. Correct.
You're not going to get that kind of storyline out of
Correct.
UConn,
No,
SCSU.
no, but then Angel Reese kind of adapted the villain role, you could say. And
Yes.
some people do love her, but majority of people see Caitlyn Clark as kind of like the good guy, and Angel Reese is the bad guy.
I'm sure down south, everybody looks at Angel Reese as a complete badass. And
Maybe in
Caitlin Clark
Louisiana.
In Louisiana, she's
and,
definitely
like,
seen that way.
And
Yeah.
people just look at Caitlin Clark as like a girl that kind of got lucky but got
Yeah.
put in her place.
I would
think-
agree.
I think the best part to come out of this is women's basketball becoming relevant.
Correct.
Because you were talking about it. It gave last weekend like real value between the Final Four of men's and the championship. There was actual sports going on.
Yeah.
We were actually excited to see real sports going on. Like there was, it wasn't just like, oh, there's a
Guest
women's game
appearance.
on, we'll turn it on. It
Hop
was
in.
like, oh, we've got real sports to
Yeah.
watch. Like I'm excited to watch the women's. I think we need more of that. I think
Yeah.
we need more of the women's side being actually legit and exciting to watch.
And the people who are like arguing against the whole like Angel Reese thing, doing the villain arc thing, it doesn't make sense to me because like you look at like teams of the past in other sports, right? Like people like look at like the bad boy Pistons of the 90s, right? Like people hated them.
Yes.
But it also added to the season. It added to the game. People were talking about the game. People were talking about the NBA at the time. They still are. But it really created like a narrative around the game outside of what was happening on the court, 100%. Now there's other stuff going on. Obviously, we're here sitting talking about it. So it did add some aspect to women's college basketball that is going to end up, in my mind, being a net positive for them because now people care about the game outside of just like, oh, I happen to be an Iowa fan or I happen to be an LSU fan, so I hope we win. You know?
No, and I think there's some, before I get into why I just got this stand here, I have one last thing to say, but I think a majority of people would agree that sports have gone past the middle ground and into the soft category.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So if we get more of that bad boy Pistons mentality, more of that Angel Reese in your face, more of like what Dylan Brooks was doing a couple weeks
Yeah.
ago to Draymond Green, it's going to make it more exciting.
It's more fun.
It gives more villain side to it and a lot more give and take and a lot more of like, I want the Warriors to win just to beat Dylan Brooks.
Exactly. And it's like if you don't have a dog
It's
in the fight,
It's like what Jake Paul capitalizes on.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
it's like, if you don't have a
They're
dog
not
in the
looking for
fight,
a good boxing fight.
yeah.
They're
Now,
looking
you care for the emotional
the-
aspect.
yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Dylan
Or-
Brooks is a bad example, though. You have to be able to back it up.
Yeah, well,
He
yeah,
sucks.
that's fair enough. Well, coming from the couch now, joining us out of the absolute blue is the one and only Mr. Cole Cremines, unexpected guest. How are we doing, Cole?
Hello, friends.
Take it easy on Jim Nance there. That's his line.
Yeah. Well, what did you think of the whole women's game in general?
Obviously,
we were all watching it together.
I thought the taunting was warranted. You
Yes.
know. It would kind of been cool to see a Iowa girl win the ship, but I think people are overreacting. I think they're getting a little soft.
Yes, I 100% agree.
It's fun though. Like it adds, whether you love Angel Reese or hate her, it adds an aspect to the game. It adds an aspect to the conversation because obviously we're sitting here talking about it now.
Right.
So it has some value.
It
Yeah.
puts women's basketball into the media a lot more than just
Yeah.
like, look at what happened. Oh, yeah, Caitlyn Clark scored 40. Her average threes from 25 feet and 11 inches.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. It gives like, holy shit. Like,
Yeah.
that was awesome. You know what I'm saying?
Angel Reese is an example of someone that should be allowed to talk, though. I mean, she had like 5 double-doubles and then won a
She
national
averaged a
championship.
double-double in the season.
She
was what
averaged
we-
like 23 and 15.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
That's all right.
I would question her leg sleeve color decision, personally.
What was it?
she went with purple on purple. I would have gone purple jersey, white leg sleeve.
Or
and
yellow.
then, I wouldn't have gone yellow, but I would have gone opposite, right? So you got white jersey, purple leg sleeve, purple jersey, white leg sleeve.
Or neon green.
Yeah, that
With
was
the-
weird how all their shoes were neon.
That
green.
was sponsored by Mamba.
Oh, it was.
Yeah, they like bought
Okay,
it
then
for
it's
'em.
cool.
Yeah, so it was like a thing.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
still looked a little silly.
It looked a little, but it was like if you know the background.
Yeah.
you-
And now
it
we're
makes-
talking about it. So
Exactly.
they accomplished what they wanted.
Exactly. Women's basketball put itself into the spotlight, and I feel like there should be more of that. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like,
100%.
I think they 100% earned it. You know
Oh
what
yeah,
I'm saying?
and it was a great job outside of the officiating. I feel like by whoever like the marketing team, media relations team is on the women's half of college basketball, like getting this game really out in the spotlight and making people care about it and watch it.
Yes.
I mean,
100%.
mission accomplished by women's basketball this year.
I thought so.
Am I not mistaken that Clark did
She
that
did that
to
to
Louisville when they were beating them?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. We got into like Clark's was in the heat of a moment after a shot, blah blah blah. But yes, you're right. That's kind of where Reese's motive came from. It came from that, and it's, I think,
Hey,
the
bad-
perfect
bad
thing
boy
to do.
Pistons.
The perfect thing to do in that situation, I would say. This is a question we had earlier. I want to ask you. Okay, James doesn't fall into this category, but Red and I both think there are superstitions in sports. So if I get up, if we're watching a football game, because there's less scoring in football, if I get up to go get a Coke in the middle of a football game and we score, I'm gonna go get 50 Cokes. Right, everything I can do to help the football team score. Are you one of those guys that's like, nothing I do really matters, or are you one of those guys that'll wear special socks every time the Chiefs play?
I'm not a superstitious person.
Oh my
not at all.
gosh, that's it's
See,
just
I'm
it's
like-
just not as fun to watch. in my
Like
opinion.
when I go to like an Iowa State football game or a Nebraska football game, or I even went to some Iowa
Your
football
tradition is to be.
games. Yeah. No, what I do, like the 11 o'clock games, like it'll normally like some of those like October, November games, it'll be maybe like a little chilly, but then the sun comes out around like the fourth quarter. But if I'm wearing a sweatshirt and my team's winning, I'm keeping the
keep
sweatshirt
it
on
on.
and sweating because I'm not risking like screwing something up. Like I'm not taking the sweatshirt off because what if that butterfly effect
This
somehow
is
and we lose?
9-year-old logic.
I don't know if I'm with the whole.
It's sports fandom. It's what we do.
I mean,
It's
when I was
not
a
sports fandom.
when
It's
I was
just-
a football player, I always wore the exact same undershirt. I don't
Yes.
think that's the same thing as much as
Yeah.
intergame.
no,
if
that-
this
I don't
happens,
think
I'm
that's
rolling
the same.
with it.
I think, for
So, like,
that's just more of a being.
I guess I equate that to like this is the shirt I PR in and whatever.
Yeah,
But
like the song
I
you
think
listen
that
to
just
or
makes
something.
it more of a just a special song or shirt rather than this is gonna make me,
well, so
actually
like
put the weight up.
Mentality too. What we were just talking
UConn's
about.
head coach, he's wore allegedly the same pair of underwear. He has watched them also allegedly for
Allegedly.
every single tournament game. And apparently he's wearing the same underwear again in the national championship,
So
as he
take-
should.
Take UConn by 30.
Exactly. You don't want to switch up what underwear you're wearing and risk losing.
Yeah. What kind of? Okay, let me pitch your thing here because I know Alex has a mic.
Okay, so I was gonna say, what if you were wearing this like special pair of socks and you whoop somebody in tennis? Like, what does a tennis game go to?
21.
45?
No.
Well, it's
Love?
40s, right? It's like 10.
It go to
15.
11.
Okay, let's say
Match
you beat
point?
them
That's
11
all
to
I
I
1.
think it's 11.
Tennis
then
heads
you-
over
it-
here.
It can be 6. It can be 11.
Let's just say you beat them 11 to 1, and then the next time you beat them 11 to 1 in the same pair.
But that's like
Then you're
lucky.
just-
That's like lucky socks.
Yeah.
Well, let's
That's,
just
I
say
look at that
that's
as
the
lucky
whole
socks.
point.
I
Let's-
know, but he's not grabbing 55 Cokes every single time he watches a football game.
just that one game.
Just that one game.
So let me
But
run you
lucky
through this.
socks, that's from game to game to game to game.
Let me ask you this then. If you're UConn's head coach, you wore the same head or the same pair of underwear through the whole tournament. Are you wearing a different pair for the championship game? Because it doesn't matter. No.
I mean,
You're doing everything in
if
your
it's
power
gonna
to
be
find
the
that
last
pair.
game, I'd probably wear those underwear again. But
Yeah, exactly.
So you care a little bit.
No, because that's game to game to game to game. If the UConn head coach, if they were winning the entire time, that his legs were crossed like this during one
Oh, you
game,
know my legs
and
would
then
be
he was-
crossed.
and he was like, "Well, if I go like this, we're gonna lose." That I think is crazy. But
100% my legs are going to be crossed for
Yeah.
that final play. I'm just saying.
There's been instances where my
like
team
within a game, I don't think that you should be superstitious throughout that game. If you win the game by a lot and you're like, "I'm wearing these underwear next time," sure, I get that. Whatever.
I mean, like me, I know there's been instances where I've been like, I didn't watch the first like 5 minutes of like one of my team's games, and we were like winning,
and then you
I
can't
start
watch anymore.
No, I start watching, and all of a sudden it's a tied game. Like I'm turning the game off.
That was
out of
me-
respect for my team.
That would have been like 2015, the Patriots. Every time I watched, we would start losing. So I would stop watching and we would
Yeah,
win. somehow.
exactly.
I don't know how. Superstition, upper powers. I don't know what happens. I did not like watching them. Or I didn't like not watching them, but I had to do it, for the team.
Exactly.
I was player in that situation.
You
I
gotta
can't
be a
believe
team player.
you don't get in on that
No, I'm not superstitious.
at all.
Not really. No.
Wow. Not in any case ever.
I don't. Maybe when I was like a child, but I don't know.
Yeah, maybe when he was 9 years old.
And life was simple.
Yeah. Things didn't matter.
Yeah, that's a good, decent segue into Cole. Who do you have winning the Natty this year? Who do you have
For men's,
tonight? Yep.
Yes. UConn versus SDSU.
I
Who you
have
taking?
the Yukon.
Fair enough. James, do you have a dog in the fight?
Get it? Ha. Husky.
Well, if I have to have a dog, I'm probably gonna go UConn.
Fair enough. Well, you guys were right with the Miami UConn prediction, or as far as the advanced analytics goes, your advanced analytics edged ours out just by a hair.
A little bit.
It had to
yeah.
have been
in the
a
second half.
thousandth of a tenth. Of
It was
a,
in the second half.
Because
Yeah.
you guys were like a hurricane destroyed.
Our hurricane just didn't
no,
last.
this
as long.
Outlasted.
This was Owl
Yeah.
versus
Outlasted.
Aztec.
Oh, I was
Oh.
talking Miami.
He was talking.
Oh,
The
well.
hurricane didn't last as long as I
Owl
anticipated.
We were
Aztec as
100%.
well.
That one was tough. The Owls.
Maybe you should have me and James start doing the
Yeah.
betting.
Well,
We were
probably.
100% in the
You
Final
could-
Four.
I mean, this entire
I think it's pretty
March
well.
Madness has been to April.
It's been
now.
crazy. I think it's pretty
It's
well
just been
known that the
upset after
table here
upset.
isn't exactly the best at betting. But Redden, what did you say about wanting to get back on our feet tonight?
We're gonna just ride with like probably UConn money line. Something very simple.
I feel like if we mess up UConn money line, we are officially
We're cursed.
We're
I mean,
cursed.
you have a 50-50. So
Are we going back to advanced analytics?
What do we got?
Um,
Aztecs versus Huskies. That's going to be Aztecs all the way.
It's no, not all the way. It's close, but I'm going to take Aztec if they still have their spear, which is the criteria I used in the Final Four. So
See, I think we need to.
Aztec with a spear versus the Husky. I have to go the Aztec.
The Aztecs should win, which means we should take the Aztecs, which means we need to fade the advanced analytics.
Right. This is the first ever fade of the advanced analytics.
Correct.
I haven't faded them yet.
We have to.
Well,
We're
so you think
legally
SDSU is
obligated.
going to win tonight?
SDSU is winning. Yes.
All right.
Well, we're fading the advanced analytics.
We're going to have to
Yeah.
fade them.
I liked UConn, but I had to go back to our advanced analytics approach that we used last week because it didn't fail me. So,
Right.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Considering the advanced analytics, are you still on the Huskies then, James?
yes.
Okay.
Taking
think-
a Husky over a Aztec.
Depends on how big the Aztec is.
True.
Very geographically different.
True. And think about
Well,
it.
I mean, listen, a dog would tear you apart. Like big dogs,
It also is like,
Like,
is
they're
it like
just
100
so
Aztecs
agile.
and 100 Huskies, or is it one-on-one?
One-on-one.
like a hungry
Yeah,
husky.
yeah.
Because like 100.
Imagine.
What if it's
I don't know.
1,000 Huskies though?
Yeah.
It's got to be 1v1.
We weren't saying 100 Hurricanes versus 100
Yeah.
Huskies though. That's just absurd.
That was okay. Yeah. So one-on-one is the advanced analytics.
Well, what if we say 5-on-5? Like a
That's what I was
basketball
thinking
game.
too, but I like one-on-one better.
No.
The
All right,
advanced
it's
analytics
one-on-one.
calculator is only considering one-on-one.
Yeah, our algorithm
If
is
Michael
not that
Vick
complex.
owns the husky, I got the husky.
Okay. All
That's
right.
fair.
I think I got the husky.
Fair enough.
Hey man, listen.
Hey, man.
Hey man, hey man. Those videos of the guys with the big foam suits and then his dog
Oh,
will like
yeah.
come
those
up
are
and
scary.
bite.
Those are canines,
Oh,
though,
my-
aren't they?
What?
The ones where they
German
run in
shepherds.
or German shepherd.
Canines?
Canine
Yeah, I
dogs.
think it is a
Canine unit
dog.
dogs.
I mean, but that's the same style of dog. It's not like a chihuahua.
Yeah.
Husky isn't a chihuahua.
Right.
I think a husky.
The husky
take-
eyes are scary.
Yeah.
Husky eyes are
blue
like,
ones?
they'll stare right in your soul.
Yeah.
We had one when I was little.
Really?
Did it
His name
die?
was Blaze.
Blaze. That's
Yeah,
a
we had to
sick
give it
name.
away because it was too mean.
Oh, perfect. I'm taking UConn. Well, I'm taking
No.
the Aztecs, and then
I
I'm
think
going to
the
take
average
UConn.
We need to
Aztec
stop now.
was-
There's more evidence being presented. I don't like this.
Maybe 150 pounds.
Oh, that's a
That's a
big
big
Husky.
old dog.
Holy
No, no,
shit.
no, no, Aztec.
Oh, yeah.
Aztec.
yeah.
I don't-
It's a
I don't
small
probably-
Aztec.
People used to be smaller.
I don't
True.
think they were.
I
like,
bet.
The
giant
average human
guys.
height has gone up.
Yep.
I don't know.
All right, so collectively, it sounds like we're taking UConn except for
I got
Cole.
UConn.
Good luck, Cole.
Thanks,
We will be
friend.
tuning into that
May the force be
tonight.
with you.
And is there anything else?
I think that's about it.
So I think we jump right into the draw. Alex, if you are not familiar,
Hit him with it.
If you're not familiar, go ahead and shuffle them up, Alex. If you're not familiar, our new segment is the draw. Alex is going to shuffle a deck of cards back there, all 52 included. And all four of us are going to attempt.
Good fucking shuffle.
All four of us
my God.
are going to attempt to guess the correct value as well as the suit. Okay, so it's not like if I guess a 10, I can get it right. I need to guess 10 of spades.
Yep.
You got a 152 shot here. Pretty low. All right.
So let's run it. Cole, what do you got?
I'm thinking a black 9, but I'm having trouble deciding between the two.
Four
I
of
guess I'll
clubs.
roll club. Yeah.
All right, so we
Yeah,
got 9 of
9 of
clubs, 4 of
clubs.
clubs.
I'm going 8 of spades.
I'm going to go on the red track here. I think I went high last time, so I'll stay low as well. I will go 3 of hearts.
Oh!
10 of hearts. I was in the right suit, but we were off on that one, so be sure to tune in next episode to see us absolutely hammer the draw. Obviously, we're gonna get it next episode for sure. With that being said, be sure to check out SeatGeek. The link is in the description down below. Use our code MarvOnAir for $20 off your first order. What's up, Cole?
I have a question about the draw. Does that card get taken out episode to
No.
episode?
It's fresh every time.
Okay, so there's no counting.
No.
Okay.
No. Yes, be sure to check out SeatGeek down below, and then be sure to tune back in Wednesday, 6-ish p.m. to 7-ish p.m. We'll be going live covering, everything that happens between now and Wednesday. So we hope to see you then.
Deuces.
Nice.
Delete, bro.
Nice. Click.